hey, this is our end of year wrap up, and we have, like everyone here from the team. Hello.
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 In this episode, we'll quickly like cover what we did in the last month, but mostly I just want to like look back at this past year since like December 2020 and how development's gone on our new game. But first, like we'll do intros. So I'm Laura. I am writing and directing the next Dreamfeel game.
Hi, I'm Adriel. I'm a 3D artist and I'm mostly working on characters.
Hey, I'm Alex. I mostly work with video editing for Dreamfeel at the moment.
Hi, I'm Bray. I work with rigging and animating the characters and some little miscellaneous bits.
I'm the co-writer and producer for this game.
Hi, I'm Karen, and I've been doing environment art on the game.
Hi, I'm Leah. I'm an artist and I've been doing designs and concepts on the Dreamfeel game.
Oh, and I'm Tim. I'm the lead programmer here at Dreamfeel.
I mean, I think like the first like most obvious thing is like how many more of us there are now, which is kind of wild.
Yeah.
Like we'll get into it in a bit. Like I wanna like hear like Adriel like what you think and Karen like joining the project that had already started. And then of course like Bree, like we worked with Bree before, so it was like easy to reach out to you and it was like awesome to get you back. So what is it like to come back to the Dream Team? But yeah, let's like cover what we did last month first. Also, like credit to everyone who's here because like half of us are like dying with sickness right now. So thanks, Karen, and like half the other half are, like just got back from sickness. So we're very excited about like a Christmas holiday break. So yeah, like Eve, what have we done since last time?
So I think last time we were kind of updating people on the progress we had made on the story and some new ideas we had for like mechanics. So this month has been like a lot of development from that. We've been trying to implement the mechanics and to make a build that really shows them off. And we did a little bit of script for it as well, which kind of like, it was actually really fun yesterday. Laura and I were working on like how the script should look for this new mechanic. So it's kind of exciting to get into this like technical bits. It was very cool.
The script for the new mechanic is kind of structured kind of differently. We gotta like figure it out. And like Tim has like some cool things where we can copy paste like things straight from the script and then it will automatically like turn it into commands that the game understands, which is super neat.
Very cool.
But yeah, we have a build that we're like finishing up for December, which shows off 3 new mechanics in quick succession. Other than the mechanics side, like the art is like still kind of like full steam ahead. We'll talk about our plans for next year. And then in terms of story, yeah, we had some more big changes, not big changes to the story, but kind of like boiling it down, you know? So we're spending longer in certain areas and it's kind of all just structured better. And we've had a deep look at the characters because like we mentioned before, this game has a lot of main characters. There's like 6, you know? And kind of like 2 or 3 kind of like antagonists. And yeah, we're just like figuring out, do each of the characters like have a distinct voice from each other and kind of they work off each other and do they all like, kind of develop nicely? Yeah, that's this month. And before we get into next year, I think the like one really cool thing I think to start with would be to talk about the version of the game we had a year ago because we're essentially like 12 months into development now, you know? Like, we pitched and started developing this game at the end of 2020, just as If on Switch was coming out. And it was a really different game. Leo, you were saying this the last day, like, the difference in what we're working on. Like, there's kind of, like, core, like, settings, like, themes, but, yeah, it's very different.
Yeah, stylistically. I was just remember drawings, like, very different things. I don't know what I can go into, but it was visually entirely different.
I mean, the art style, like for one thing, like it was very gritty, and so it was like it was a 3D game we were making back then too, but it was like very almost realistic textures. And then we had like 2D drawings from Leah that were the characters kind of. We never really worked it out. And yeah, we finished in January, like this demo, which was like fully playable, but like aesthetically, it was a cool game, you know, but It just wasn't something that we were excited to spend another year or like year and a half on. Well, you
Yeah.
like why did we change what our game was, Eve?
I mean, there's a few different reasons. Some of it was like you said, like I think we could have. In some ways, it'd be interesting in a future project to take the aesthetic we were working on last year and like push it even further and see where it goes. But yeah, it definitely wasn't hitting the right notes for us. And I think also, like, you described it as gritty, and I think that's a good description. And I think in the end of 2020 and the start of 2021, it was just a rough place to try and work on something that was gritty. It was like, doesn't feel good.
Yeah, that's so true.
It was really pessimistic, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, it would have been like a super harrowing experience, and it's like, shit's bad, and then the players would be like, oh yeah, shit's bad, you know?
Yeah.
That was some escapism right there.
Yeah, exactly. Which is kind of funny, because like with If Found, like we started with like, oh, it's a fantasy mystical world or whatever, you know, it was like not a real place, and it wasn't a real like location, and it was like, oh no, this story would work way better if it actually was, I guess, grittier and was like set in a real place, i.e. Acco.
Yeah.
Whereas this game went the other direction. We started it set in like real places, and we were like, yeah, we can make this game, but we don't want to.
Yeah.
And that's what's kind of cool. And then it became more like almost fairy tale like, which I would say now, you know? And like that's the thing about like video game development that I say in a lot of these like video updates that people don't always kind of realize is they think you start with a fully formed idea at the start and then just make it like 10%, 10%, 10%, whereas actually you're like kind of making all of it at once slowly and figuring out what it is. Yeah, maybe if we started the game in like 20, I don't know, like I'm trying to say, what was a happy year? Like, I don't know, 2015. I'm sure terrible stuff happened in 2015, but not as bad as the following years. Maybe we would have made the game that we started, but yeah, we just didn't want to. And one of the big things we changed, so mechanically, which we'll get to in a wee bit, like the game is, while there's still elements that are similar, we have like a bazillion more mechanics now, you know? But the most obvious first change is aesthetically. And as you say, aesthetically, it was kind of cool, but we didn't want to do that. We wanted something that looked like, you know, more like Leah's art, and we could like bring in kind of like a more expressive point of view, which is when two of these people joined us. When did you start? Like, you both started around the same time.
February, I think.
Yeah.
February, really?
Oh.
So yeah, it was literally, and we finished that demo in January, and we're like, okay, let's try something else. How has things changed for you guys since February to now? Like, how has it gone?
Yeah, good. There's been a lot of changes still since February in the art direction. It's been fun, honestly, just like trying to figure things out. Definitely something that I've done in the first month that I would keep and probably put in my portfolio, if that's okay, because just some cool stuff was done. But very happy where we're going right now. Yeah,
like we spent, I guess, you know, from February then, I guess it was, again, like late February when you guys started. From February probably till like the middle of the summer, we were trying to figure out the art style. What was that process like?
It was pretty fun anyway, because it was very experimental, right? I know we switched roles a little bit back and forth, yeah. So because I started off on characters and Adria was doing environment, and then we were just experimenting a bunch, and then when you finally clicked, we kind of settled into our current roles.
Yeah, wow, I forgot.
Yeah, but yeah, no, it was all right. It felt very rewarding. It was like a lot of work to get to a place where.
Yeah, it was like we kind of made, like in the summer, we made like one scene that's like, oh yeah, this is the art style, this is cool. And like me and Eve were actually looking in it yesterday because we were taking something out for the current scene. It's like, oh wow, this is still really neat. And that's kind of where we've been testing mechanics, because it's nice to test mechanics with like the art and stuff around it. But in terms of like your expectations of Dreamfeel, or what you'd be doing, like, is this year what you expected, or was there any kind of like surprises?
No, actually, I feel I got the vibe right.
Oh,
like
cool,
from the
okay.
beginning when we were talking, because I already knew, I knew I found, and then I was like, okay, this feels like more of an experimental vibe, and it's it's the kind of thing that I feel I enjoy working on the most. So when I got in and we had that, everyone just collaborating into different areas, felt like, okay, this is it. It kind of works out. It feels like a good fit.
I mean, it's always like different, like with remote and stuff, but
yeah,
like,
definitely.
Yeah. As long as it's a good, positive vibe, I guess.
It sure is.
Yeah, definitely.
Adriel, do you have any specific memories or like things you've learned over the last year that you think are interesting?
I think mostly I'm very glad I learned to use like Substance Beta. It's just made my life different.
Yeah.
I don't know otherwise.
Yeah, Substance Painter was great though, because that was like something where it's like what you're saying, Karen, where it's swapping tools and things that we do, because like we all have different experiences and backgrounds, and then it's like, yeah, they're like super worked out for you, Adriel, in a really nice way, which is cool.
Yeah.
No, that's pretty cool. I mean, I got to do animation rigging at the beginning, which I had done barely any of.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just learned a bunch over the years.
And then we got our like full-time rigger animator and do all of the bits person joined us. Which was the same on If Found, like Brie. Like on If Found you joined like summer 2019 when we were like, okay, we gotta get everything done now, we gotta get all these bits together, and you ended up doing kind of everything, because like Leah, you've used Unity before, but like you don't
Entry level, yeah.
like once.
Beginner. Yeah. Once, exactly.
So having like Brie, who like is like a really cool artist and like has all of that Unity experience, like you're like the most generalist, was great on If Found, and you did so much of the color and like so many bits that I forget that like Brie did on If Found, honestly, and I need to give you more credit, like the title and all kinds of pieces.
And every time I see the house, I'm like, Brie.
Yeah. The house is like one of the like, it's in our trailer where you're raised through like the different colors of day and stuff. And then like, if we had, if it's like we either had you earlier or, we were kind of like had a slower process, we could have had more of those big kind of color scenes, but like we got a bunch in there. Anyway, I will stop talking. Yeah, how was it to come back on to Dreamfeel?
Oh, it was great. Yeah, I love this team. I love the way they work. I already kind of know the process and everything.
When did you start back with us this year?
I think it was the end of June, beginning of July-ish.
Okay, cool. And yeah, you came in and like what you started for was like animation, but yeah, because there's only so much animation and you can do all kinds of things, you've ended up being our like do some art to try out a mechanic and doing lots of bits and pieces person.
Kind of the same stuff I was doing on If Found, which I really enjoy. Just kind of like, here's some tidbits to experiment with. Go run wild or whatever.
Art integration?
Yeah, that's a good term.
It also kind of makes sense, right? Like if Leah is making a lot of the designs and concepts, if she would also be integrating it into the game, there would be a lot of time that is not spent on making more art, for example. So
yeah,
I'd be like learning on the job.
Well, I mean, you have like you've been like with Dreamfeel for what, like 5 years? Like actually 6 years. That's wild. Like you've learned a lot on the job, but it's also like,
oh, true, yeah.
Like you are good at drawing, so like I'm not gonna like you're not gonna be our lead programmer like next year,
Right. Maybe.
I'm just thinking of like the Dreamfeel role swap, where everyone gets like, okay, everyone, new role.
That's our Chris Kindle this year. Everyone gets a new role. You get a Christmas card, you get the new role. There you go.
I remember I saw like Arcade Fire live. Like I think it must have been about 2011 or something, like way back, and I was like annoyed because like everyone was like swapping all their instruments constantly, and I'm like, God damn it, I want the best guitar player to play guitar and the best drummer to play the drums. And then your man who plays the violin, he's very good. He was just walking the stage, and like you can't hear it. It's like I'm sure he's having a great time, but why? So yeah, I don't know if like swapping roles randomly is the best way, but it's a fresh fun.
You don't say.
But there is definitely, like, when you're a small studio, it happens that, like, you know, there's lots of hat swapping. Like, you know, Karen and Adriel, you guys like swapping roles, and Bree and everything. But
Yeah.
I guess within like reason of what we're interested in doing, you know, like I always enjoy when Tim does art.
It's always something.
Like Leah, you also had to like investigate and try out lots of different art styles to find what worked for this game. And I think it's still something that we're like, you know, we've kind of like honed in, but there's still like degrees of like this or that. Like how has that changed over the last year?
It's been huge, like learning to draw for 3D and like learning how to like draw to like pass on to other artists and like I find I'm kind of like here you go, I don't know, and Karen and Adriel are always just like work magic, like they really like understand like my designs and stuff like that and like just make it look amazing. So I don't know if I learned so much because Karen and Adriel are so amazing that I can really just like draw, express whatever I want. They can make amazing stuff.
I mean, it's also cool that like Karen and Adriel, like you're like there's like a brush, Karen, that you have. I think you shared with Adriel, which is like the Leah brush. So
Leah brush.
Yeah, you have your imitation of Leah's like drawing as well.
I tried. Not as good as the original.
No, it is as good. I can't tell.
Yeah, just like I mean, like that's like the Dreamfeel. I don't know, like the Dreamfeel thing, like as if it's like special or whatever. But like that's like the process we use. It's like, you know, like we're all like really good at what we do, you know, and we all have like confidence in our own stuff. And then it's just like a case of like working on it till it gets where like it feels right. And like maybe like Alex suggests an idea here, or Bree like tweaks this, or like Eve does that, you know, like all these like hands touching it, and it's never like, oh, this is mine, like don't you dare change that pixel or I will shoot you. Which like I've worked in environments like that, and it's like grand, but it's also like tricky. And I know I'm very meddlesome, like I do like to meddle, so I am very grateful for Leah over the last 6 years has like been cool with Laura, like cropping and like boosting the saturation on every photo or like drawing. So
I think we've all experienced that. the saturation.
Have you considered full saturation?
It's not like I sometimes just like tone it down on Unity. You're like no, just a little bit. No one's going to know. Hasn't happened. No, has never happened.
Yeah, like Eve and Tim have been like begging me to get like different monitors as well, but I think it's my eyeballs, honestly.
You do need a really good color reproduction monitor, though. It will help.
Yeah, I will get a new one, but I got a new one not too long ago. I think it's decent.
Fair.
I want to get a super widescreen one like you have, Tim, because they're awesome. Tim, how do you feel about this past year?
Yeah, a lot has changed. I do feel that we have spent way more time thinking about workflow and improving it compared to F-Found. And F-Found, there was more like, we need to do this and we need to finish it. And now we're like, actually, how do we actually make this game fast and efficient? And a lot of our work went into there, and now it's paying dividends. And it's good. It also shows growth that we have as a company, you know. We're becoming wise people.
I mean, If-Found was like it was a rush at the end, you know. We were coming in very hot, and there's like a lot of key elements of If-Found that we coded like so close to the end that even Annapurna were like, we were nervous about this, but it worked, so good job. Like the character creator, like the ending was something that like never really came together until the very end and stuff as well. I think like a lot of that was because the story didn't come together until near the end. And with this game, even though we're starting from like a, you know, more of a ground zero than If-Found, you know, whereas, okay, If-Found we had like years of like pre-production before we started officially in January 2018. With this game, we were starting from blank at the end of 2020. But we kind of knew what was important was the journey and the story of the characters, you know, and from that, what are the mechanics that will make players more interested and also invested in it. So like Eve, what do you think how the story has changed from what we had at the start of this year in January, February, where it was about, I guess, like one character maybe and kind of one setting?
I think it's interesting in that we kind of like, we realized that we didn't want to tell a story about a single character because the themes that we're working with required a sense of like group dynamics and kind of community, and that was best expressed through this sort of group story. And from that, like the scope kind of ballooned out a bit, and we were like, oh god, this just got very big. And then we spent the rest of the year like condensing it like, back down, being like, okay, these are the parts of that story that we actually want, and here's how we can tell them in the most like interestingly condensed way, I think is what I'd say. Because you don't want to lose any of the richness, but you do want to be like, here's the wheat and here's the chaff.
I mean, the metaphor in my head that I keep coming back to, which is like so like bougie, is like making a sauce or something where like you boil it down and like add stuff, and then like you know add more water and then boil it down again, and you keep like condensing it the flavor. That's like the most bougie metaphor that anyone's ever.
I like it. So especially because I made a very good vegan bolognese on Monday and was doing that. It was like tasty.
I think that kind of leads us to our like ultimate or penultimate questions, which is next year. What's our plans? And individually, you know, not necessarily what do we want to get from the next year of development, and maybe what do we want people to get from the game as we develop it. So yeah, Eve, do you have any hopes for next year and hopes for this mystery game?
I don't know. I mean, my hope for next year is mostly just that like we get to a place where we're really happy with like the script and the dialogue and stuff, since you know that's my little patch. But I'm excited to really dig into like one thing that was really interesting for me working on this project is how like different the level design is compared to Ifbound. When I'm not a level designer by training. It's one thing I've learned on the job. But when we were doing the levels for Found, I always thought about it kind of as like comic booky terms, in terms of like, what images are you presenting together? Are you contrasting them? Are you going to do something where like the eraser is kind of doing a page turn reveal? With 3D games, obviously you don't think like that at all. You kind of think in terms of cinema, but then there's a whole extra layer to it of like interaction and like player control. So I'm very excited to like really dig into level design and like get some really good spaces and good feeling spaces.
I mean, one thing that reminds me of actually is probably the biggest difference in terms of play between what we have now and what we started with. And it was something that kind of gradually came in, like especially towards the end of the summer, which is that the game we had back then, the player was kind of just an observer, you know, and the action is something that was happening and that they weren't involved in. And we were thinking about it from the point of view of how would you make a movie interactive, which I think there's a lot of potential in that, but you know, video games have certain things that they tend towards, you know, like players like to feel involved because it is rewarding, you know, and it engrosses them in the story. And that feels very obvious, but it's cool to have got there after like interrogating, like actually questioning why are we doing this. But yeah, where we've ended up with now, like players are a lot more active, you know, and I think that's really cool. And it like lets them get more of the story and more of the emotion and narrative, hopefully. So yeah, I'm very excited about like playing with these mechanics. Some of them we've just like Tim like just finished coding one of them literally like yesterday. So and also, I'm excited to write too, because like this past year for me, like I have been, I guess, you know, I've been involved with the story discussions with you, but I've kind of not written much actual dialogue because I've always just been like, okay, what is this? Like, I've been like looking at scenes from a high level and looking at the characters and what they're doing, what the setting is, not necessarily like the lines of dialogue. But I think we're now at a point where we can write those lines of dialogue and they're going to be like quite close to final, you know, like extra drafts aside. So I'm really excited for the script too. Tim, what do you think?
It's very hard to figure out what will happen for me in the future because it depends what we'll need, right? But I am hopeful that by the end of this project, the code base will not be as horrible as it sounds. I'm kidding.
No, it's true
No,
though.
it's just interesting because most of the time you think, oh, I'm just wearing the programmer hat, but it's sometimes I'm doing shaders and sometimes I'm doing like optimizations or making builds or
Well, design as well,
yeah, like there's a lot of like I do feel that I have more input now compared to F-Founds.
Yeah.
Because 3D is more my thing. I don't know why. I just feel I can give more.
Yeah, I think you have more confidence
yeah.
as well in like suggesting like, oh, what if we did it this way? Or is that
Mm.
is that the best thing for a player, or would players be confused here? Because like that's what game design really is always about. It's always about like thinking about the player's experience and trying to picture it from someone who doesn't know how it works,
Yeah, and I know sometimes when we have internal discussions, I question like why is this necessary or something like that. But it's also interesting to see the train of thought to get to this conclusion, and
Yeah.
sometimes
I'm
that context is important.
I'm definitely also guilty of just like sometimes like handing down like it should be this way, because like I'm very intuitive. So it's good to like be questioned on that and to like have to think and step through it. The other thing that I would say that I'll probably come back to at the end, but the thing that I'm thinking about a lot for next year, and it's like my ongoing thing with Dreamfeel, is just like doing this sustainably, like working at like a steady pace that we're not like sprinting at any point, we're just like enjoying it and enjoying the rest of our lives because, like work is just like one part of our lives, the other 9% is my dog. No, I have like a whole fulfilling life other than my dog. But yeah, like to have it be something that like isn't like killing all of us is like so important. So I am very excited that like one, I'm really grateful that like y'all who aren't feeling the best came in, but I'm glad that we have like Christmas and like holiday break very soon. Adriel, is there anything on that you're thinking about for next year?
Don't really know.
What do you want to do when you come back in January?
I guess I'm gonna be doing more characters. Like, yeah, I'm having fun with them. I think I like if I have enough time to also help a bit with props and environment because I find it very fun. Finger crossed.
Yeah, I hope so. Like I'm excited to see because the style of the characters has changed a lot over the years. It has felt like years sometime, but over the past year, you have had to do like the same character in multiple styles. But we are now at the point where like okay, the style is like pretty set, and we're just going through each card one by one, making sure each one is good enough. And yeah, I'm just excited for the point, which I think, won't be that far into the year, but when we have like the main cast all modeled, that's going to be really awesome.
Yeah.
Because we've already started like animating them, because Bree, you've already animated them for a bunch of the levels and everything.
Yep.
Is there anything that you're like hopeful for next year or wanna?
I'm just kind of excited to see it all come together, really. Even now, it's just really exciting seeing like levels that kind of even look whole right now. How much they're going to develop, that was kind of always good. Fun thing on it found as well, just seeing like, oh, this scene looks like it could be finished, and you go back in like 2 months, you're like, oh no, it was never. No, it was not even close. And now it's so much better. It's just always a fun thing to see development.
Alex, is there anything that you want people to get when they play the game or when they watch these videos? So like Alex, like one of your main tasks is like, you're with us part-time, and like we're hoping to do these videos on the regular. We have the monthly updates and we've been pretty good about that, and we're going to be in between those. You'll probably see it the first one after Christmas, but it's already recorded of just the team talking about what we've been up to and playing and like sharing our inspirations with each other rather than just me like talking about a game. But yeah, so what are you excited about for next year?
I suppose I'm excited on the like game production side. I'm hoping that'll be smooth sailing for all of you a bit more in 2022 and just making the game. On the video production end of things, I'm excited for people to see this new series, which, like Laura said, is probably going to be the video after this one. So it's called Dreamphone. So yeah, I'm excited for people to check it out. It's kind of like a spiritual successor to the Give Me Strength video, so but with all of us involved, so it's gonna be.
I thought you were gonna
be
say.
cool, I think.
I thought you were gonna say it's the spiritual successor to the Dreamfilm board game, where you can ring up the
exactly. It's
the local
as well,
hotties.
you know?
Have you seen this, Adriel? It's like a game for teenagers from the 90s where there's like a big pink phone and there's like all these like fictional characters that you can ring and stuff.
I think I've seen it in someone made a like horror video about it.
Oh, really? Awesome.
But like I saw that years ago, so I don't really remember who.
As a totally unbiased like outside observer of the next Dreamfield game, Alex, what's your opinion? Totally unbiased opinion.
Yeah, completely unbiased, absolutely. No, I mean, I just think it's kind of been the goal with these videos as well to like chart the development of the game and have that be like a time capsule of the development of the game. But yeah, I think it's coming together really well. It really feels like everything's kind of crystallizing now, and like in terms of like art and story, and yeah, like I think it's gonna be. I'm hoping people like it, obviously. Yeah, I think it's coming together really well. So. Yeah.
What's kind of funny is like every like month or so, and we're talking to them more regularly. We are working with the publisher at the moment, but for the last like 6 months, I'd say, like all of our updates are like, I really feel like the game is together now. It's really come together, but like we keep adding like these elements that gets even more like cohesive and joined in every time, which is awesome.
Yeah.
So.
It feels like it's kind of like filling in the picture now, so it's just like, yeah.
The other thing that's cool is like it's so different from the Found in some ways, you know. I think definitely, you know, we have LGBTQ elements, but in terms of gameplay and story and characters, it's just like a totally different beast. And I remember when we were talking to publishers, and just like, you know, making the statement and the fact that like what a Dreamfield game is, like, isn't defined, you know. Like I think there's like a vibe and there's like a feeling, but it's not like we make this genre or this genre or this genre. And just that I think hopefully people will be like pleasantly surprised or excited when they see it. So last two but not least two, Karen, do you want to go first?
Yeah, hoping to get a bit more of a confidence on the environment art process, because it's something very new to me, and sometimes I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing.
I mean,
but it's
like you have this huge responsibility, because like we just like hand you this whole section, we're like, make it pretty, you know, and then you like yeah, like we need to give you like more support and encouragement, because like you do like such great work, but it's like you just keep like slowly improving it. Like you have like a great eye for it, and like that's so cool, you know. So you should definitely have confidence. But yeah, we're also here to support you and be part of that. I'm actually, me and Eve were talking about it yesterday. We're really excited to go back to that first scene that you've been working on and do like our pass on it, like while you're modeling the big model that you're doing without saying what it is.
Yeah.
So that's going to happen next, you know. Like you're not like totally in the wilderness. Yeah, once we finish the scene we're on now, we're going to go back to the pretty scene and do some tweaks and bits.
Yeah, it's the kind of stuff that also comes with time, right? I have to do it a few times until I feel like, okay, I got a handle on this. And there's a system that I'm now following instead of feeling like a different beast every time. But it's fun. It's learning. It's all learning.
And what you want people, like, is there anything you want to put into the game, or any kind of feeling, or like what do you want people to get out of it when they play it?
I don't know, I just want players to feel as immersed as possible, and that the environment gives that vibe that we want to.
Yeah, they're like, hire this person.
Really nailing it down, yeah.
I think that's definitely going to happen. Like, I think when people see screenshots and like, you know, video and stuff off it, like the characters, the environment, all the art, like really sticks out as something kind of unique. So I think people will like it. But you know, like we're just here to do our jobs, you know. So we just keep trucking, and yeah, as long as that part's enjoyable, whatever happens at the end, you know, happens. So. Leah, you've been through this rodeo at least once before.
What I love to see in If Found is people really fall in love with the main cast and like find attachment to them and stuff.
Mhm.
So what I'm hoping to do next year and looking forward is seeing like making the characters like really strong and like I hope that people will respond to them. I'm really looking forward to the environments that I'm hoping we might be doing next year. It's going to be really exciting spaces. So I'm looking forward to drawing those.
Is there like, what about like the environment art and everything? Is there something in that like you want people to see?
Well, I'm looking forward to drawing them, but I'm also looking forward to like seeing them made by the rest of you.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. Like it's wild seeing like like these like 2D drawings and these 2D like imaginings. Yeah, coming into 3D and everything, you know? It's like it was wild enough like seeing like words and character names coming into 2D and now this like other step and you can like look around and everything. It's pretty rad. Yeah, like you said about the characters, like I'm really excited. I think the cast, like people are gonna like them. Seeing like the reaction to If Found and people like still finding it and like it meaning something. So I hope like this new game has that same effect. And with If Found, like one of the things that was important to me was to help other people, like other trans people, like just see that like you can keep going and stuff, and there's like friends and there's like a cool world out there, and with this game I really hope that we can also like leave people with a sense of wanting to do stuff, and take action, as well as obviously entertaining them and providing like a very unique kind of perspective on things. Well, that was a big chat. Definitely when you have, I think, 8 people, it's always going to be a big chat. But, oh my
It's
god,
true.
Bree is now tiny.
Bree's camera has been doing some very funny things in the background.
So good.
It's been a struggle. It's supposed to auto detect my face because it's a really wide angle camera, but apparently there's just a ghost in the corner of my room. Because it only wants to go up there.
Like you live near a spot I've been before, which I think is one of the most haunted places in I've ever been in my life, honestly. That place
Yeah, that
is
sounds right.
terrifying. And it's a hotel for anyone. It's like not supposed to be haunted, but it very much is.
All the best haunted places are not supposed to be haunted.
It's true. Yeah, like honestly, like I'm just really grateful like for all you folks as well. And I am very excited to keep working. And yeah, just like mostly I'm excited we're going to take a break now. So like I appreciate like Karen and Brie, like both of you aren't feeling the best. And anyone else. Like Tim, you're still getting over like your terrible illness. Yeah, hopefully with like the Christmas break and stuff. And I hope like everyone watching as well, like you get a nice if not a Christmas break, a holiday break of some sort, Yeah, I hope people get some time to chill and rest. Yeah, keep an eye out for more Dreamfeel like news and games.
Bye everyone.